meeting to order. We'll start with roll call.
Elfin. Here. Richard. Here. Nystrom.
Here.
Stephen.
Here.
Melhouse.
Here. Okay, first, we're gonna have recognition of visitors. We'll start with roll call. First, we're gonna have recognition of visitors. I believe we had some softball players do some good things.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, are you gonna introduce them or who's gonna start?
That's right.
Okay, where's the coach?
Yeah, wait.
Is there any certain place you want me, or is this okay?
That's up front here because we need to have you by the microphone.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for having us this evening. There's 6 starters with us here tonight too. A few were out of town, but I just want to say thank you for all your support during our 2021 softball season. There was a lot of great things that happened both individually and team-wise. I want to highlight a few of those things just to express what the girls have been doing in the classroom and on the field. So this year we went 28-9 with our overall record, and only 3 of those losses of 9 were out of conference losses. So that just shows the strength of our schedule within the Raccoon River Conference. We tied for 4th in conference. We had 7 individuals who earned all conference honors. We had 2 individuals earn all district honors, and we had 3 individuals earned all state honors, and those 3 were also on our all tournament team at the state tournament. So those are some big highlights with how well girls have been doing on the field, but off the field, 6 of our 7 seniors earned Iowa Girls Coaches Association academic awards. That was a 3.75 cumulative GPA or higher. And then out of the 20 girls who traveled with us on JV varsity, 14 girls earned National Fast Pitch Coaches Association all academic at the national level. And that was a 3.5 GPA or higher cumulative. So that just speaks volume to what the girls are doing in the classroom. They know that that's their priority. And for them to be able to be on the field, they have to do their job in the classroom. And that just reflects who they are as a Boone High School student. They have worked hard in the classroom. They're great leaders in the community, and they show great character on the field. These attributes are what led to a historic and successful softball season this year. Our team goal was just to make it to state. No one expected us to be at the state championship game, but I believe in my heart that we played 3 state championship games that week, playing 2 conference opponents who were state champions the previous 2 years, and then making it all the way on that Friday. I'm just really proud of what they've done. They have created a strong foundation of what it means to represent Boone High School and the community. And I'm just very honored that I get to work with them. So I want to say thank you to all of you. I know many of you were a part of getting me on board to be on staff. And I just want to thank you for that, because I am getting the chance to work with these athletes and help grow the game. And so I'm just glad I can make, not me, but all of us and the team can make the community proud. And I know fall sports kickoff was the start of today, but I'm already looking forward to next season. So thank you for everything you guys have done. We are very excited, and we're glad to make Boone High School very proud.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead and introduce them.
Players, you get to go up front now.
Yep.
So these are 6 of our 10 starters that we had throughout the 2021 season. I'll start from first to end. This is senior Emily Age. She played shortstop for us all season. Next is senior Emma Dighton. She pitched a lot for us, but also helped out at second base. Senior Alex McDonough. She was our first baseman this year. Sophomore Natalie Danner was in our outfield and center field. Senior Megan Ryder was in our outfield, played multiple roles out there. And then freshman Erin Aids helped us a lot at second base, also DP'd and pitched a little bit for us. So these are the 6 that could join us, but these are the 6 that also made a lot of impact on our season this year.
Thank you very much, ladies.
And I have
Comments?
seniors. Where are you going? What are you doing next?
I'm going to Kirkwood for liberal arts.
Okay.
I'm going to DMAC to play softball and do liberal arts.
I'm going to DMAC for nursing.
I'm going to DMAC for softball and elementary education. Good, good, thank you.
Any other questions, comments from board members?
DMAC will be fun to watch.
I just want to say how proud we are of all of you and how well you represented Boone. We're very, very proud of that. And so thank you for coming tonight, putting yourself out there yet again in front of everyone. So we appreciate you. This is our chance to celebrate you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to all of them. Okay. Do we have any other visitors here who would like, who we're recognizing? Nope, just parents back there. And Jim and Elton. Okay. Consideration of the agenda. Is there any change to the agenda?
There were no changes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed. Is
Move to approve agenda as printed.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Pritchard, seconded by Mr. Elfman to approve the agenda as printed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Next is hearing from delegations. Are there any delegations that wish to address the board tonight? I don't see anyone here. So we'll move on to the routine business. Is there a motion on the routine business / consent agenda?
I move to accept the routine business, except for in the bills and the recent bills, general fund for Pritchard's of $2,151.90. And in the Pepple account for Pritchard's, $9,706.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second,
Okay, it's been moved by Mrs. Stevens, seconded by Dr. Nystrom to approve the consent agenda with extracting an item for Pritchard Brothers for out of the general fund for $2,151.91 and out of the Pebble Fund for $9,706.
90 cents,
What?
90 cents, not 90.
90 cents. Is there any questions, concerns, comments from any board members or other things they'd like to extract? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Next, I'll entertain a motion on the two Pritchard bills. We'll take them both together.
I move to pay the Pritchard bills in the general fund of $2,151.90 and in the Pepple account of $9,706.
Is there a second?
second,
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Stevens, seconded by Dr. Nystrom to approve the two Pritchard Brothers bills. One from general account of $2,151.90 and the other one from the Pebble account for $9,706. Is there any questions, comments, concerns?
I guess I would just share with everybody that the $9,706 was for a major repair on a sewer line at Page.
Okay. Hearing no other comments, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed, nay? Abstaining?
Abstain.
Okay. Motion passes with 4 yes votes and 1 abstention. Next is the contract for Frontline. Ms. Troop?
Yes, we have Ann Johnson from Frontline joining us virtually to kind of give you an overview of what Frontline services will provide. We do currently utilize Frontline for our absence management, but we're looking to expand upon that usage. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our Frontline representative.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anne. I am the local representative here at Frontline Education. I have been partnering with Boone for the past couple of years as we've been partnering with the district to provide our absence management solution, which helps to track employee absences as well as find substitutes within the district. Over those past couple of years, we've also had conversations about some of the other solutions that Frontline does offer. it sounds like with the new superintendent and some internal initiatives that the district is really looking to automate processes, both within the HR, finance, and curriculum departments. So myself and my colleague, Mitch Welch, who is also joining me today, have done some conversations as well as presentations for a large audience within the district, including Superintendent Treppa, as well as Mitch Lewis, the HR department, and some of the building principals. Mitch is actually going to be going over some of those pieces today, just to make sure that the people in the room understand the way that Frontline is able to partner not only with the district, but really provide you with branding to be able to retain and recruit some of the top talent and be on board with some of the other things that Frontline is able to offer. So I'll actually hand it over to Mitch. If you do have any questions as we're presenting today, feel free to ask those, or you're able to keep them to the end.
Mitch is.
He's muted.
You're muted, Mitch.
Of course, I'm muted. I've been on Zoom all day, and I can't unmute my computer for you this evening. I apologize for the group. Can you hear me now? I hope that's better.
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for allowing us to come and with our partnership conversation with Boone up to this point. A little introduction. I know this is a very high-level conversation, but it's an impactful one. My name is Mitch, and I'm a solution consultant for Frontline. I work with Frontline in the districts to really make sure that their processes are aligned and everything that they're looking at to improve around efficiencies is coming to the front of the conversation before they purchase solutions. And I'm providing a picture for you that really dictated and really talked about how we presented the solutions that we're going to come to the table with you today. And, you know, Boone is really doing some amazing things around how they're recruiting, how they're trying to attract employees to your district and candidates to the teaching positions in your district. And you'll see a part of this top square up here, really recruiting top talent. And then once you start getting them into your processes, are we efficiently attracting them, branding them, keeping them, recommending them for their hire, and getting them into your organization in the right way? Is the experience for the applicant precise? Is it comfortable? Is it keeping them engaged? Are we onboarding them with a personal touch that only Boone can do, and embedding that with your culture and your message to them, not only to bring them in, but to retain them? As Ann has kind of said, the biggest piece of this is not only attracting candidates, but retention and keeping them in the seat. So when you see what is proposed today for the solutions that come in, it really is a solution to recruit, engage, and hire top talent, which is application and it's our recruiting and hiring system, onboarding them, getting all that critical information into your system efficiently, not with double work, not with double entry, and I call data integrity, not only on the front end, but able to report from your seat, from a superintendent seat, from a principal seat, from an HR seat. All the data has integrity and is correct so that we can continue to make good decisions, and we help them with their professional growth. So you'll hear in the proposal a professional growth solution that does evaluations for your classified employees, and a learning solution that helps you track the time of their growth. And so this picture with the employee at the center is really what this purchase is involved with and what we've talked with all the stakeholders around. And we're really excited about that partnership because you have invested time with the absence management and the leave solution. And now we're actually coming back and we're really coming with you to complete the entire circle in an automated fashion in one platform with a single login, with everybody in this room and beyond having visibility into the data and having a solution that really has a comprehensive way to make us efficient. And actually, I'm going to keep saying this, but retain our employees. We know in this time we have to retain them. And that retention links down to student success. Teachers that stay result in higher student performance. And so I come from a principal seat in my previous life before I came to Frontline. I was a school principal for 15 years and used many of these solutions. And that's really our approach today. And I'm going to turn it back over to Ann to make sure she wants to put in and comment about how she's been working with the district. But I'm going to open it up for comments or questions from the board, if I can show you anything or talk about questions that you might have.
One thing I will let you know is that this purchase would be with ESSER funds. It's been approved for ESSER funding. So there's a process you have to go through when you're going to purchase anything with ESSER, and it needs to be able to relate to the topics that he talked about with retention being student-centered. And so it has already been approved to be able to utilize ESSER funding. So that would be the funding that we'd use if you were to move forward with this purchase.
We already use this for some aspects. And
We use the absence management and leave portion currently. But that's the only one that we currently use.
What other districts in this central Iowa use this?
You're on mute,
You're on
Ann.
mute, Ann.
Is that like
I
that's the
double-muted
code word?
myself.
That's the code word of the day, I think. You were on mute.
I thought you might ask that question. So some of the other districts here in Central Iowa that are utilizing many of these solutions through Frontline are Nevada, Ames, Gilbert, Des Moines, Johnston, Norwalk. I could go on, but those are the ones that are fairly centrally located and utilize a fair amount of these solutions.
Other questions, concerns from other board members?
Well, yeah, so you use the entire package, or you get to pick and choose, or?
We can pick and choose. Eventually, we'll use the entire package. We want to make sure that when we do the training, we do so very purposefully. So we aren't going to try to implement everything all at once, because we want to make sure that we do so with fidelity. And so that's something that we talked administratively about with regard to how we'd like to maybe tackle that. And as we get in, if this is approved, then that's how we'll tackle the training is, what do we need first? We'll do that. And then we'll go on to the next component to make sure that we can utilize it. One of the pieces that I'm excited about is some of the professional development that comes with this. Some videos and training that we can push out to our employees, even as they're waiting to come on board completely, so that they aren't having to wait until they actually have a device from us, to do that we could actually push some of that out at a time. We can do that during the beginning of the year. There are just a lot of resources that would be at our disposal that we don't currently have. And then being able to have the evaluation system, especially for our classified staff on this same document, everything in one spot for the employee, for the employers. It's a one-stop location so that, like they said, we don't have repeated actions. Our hiring processes this year have been challenging because our processes need to be streamlined. And this is one way that we could do that.
So that was going to be my next question. So it will somewhat standardize the way the hiring process.
Well, and then
More consistency.
more consistency, as well as with regard to a lot of people talk about Teach Iowa site and how they don't like it. One of the things that this would do is we would still be on the Teach Iowa site, but it would be our brand. We could have our own videos talking about our own district, and it would be the format that was easier for people to use before the state switched. So that's something that we see as a plus as well, is that we could personalize the application process for our district and not have it be so generic.
Or will we still use Teach Iowa then, or will
You
Teach
still
Iowa?
have to use Teach Iowa, but when they click on the link on Teach Iowa, it would direct them to our Frontline source.
Okay.
Do you mind if I address the group with one comment? Do you mind?
Yeah.
So I want to say this because I think it's important, just from a former school principal. I was a principal of 8 different campuses board. So I was in that world of changing schools that were struggling. I think part of what we really come to Boone with, and we had a great conversation with them, with the whole team, is this one piece right here. It's actually a bridge between, and I think you said it really well, standardizing processes across departments. Will no longer be a siloed approach where we have to recruit here and then we have to onboard over here and we have to get them to payroll here and we have to put them into learning over here. It really is a comprehensive solution so that not only can you get them in your organization, you can surround them with resources, but I want you to see these little terms right here: induction, getting teachers not only first year, second year, third year induction programs through learning, through training, through job specific tracks, but also a mentoring program, not just for new employees or employees that are struggling, but mentoring peer-to-peer and instructionally and comprehensively across their career. But I think this is a big one right now, especially with COVID and what we've had to address. How do we move people, not only keep them, but let them advance in our career of education? So this career succession has been a foundational part of what we talked about with HR. How do we move people in our organization and breed our own? And I want to say that, and I hope I didn't overstep just saying that, but I wanted to make sure we left it with that comment.
You mentioned ESSER funds for this first year. Is that just 1 year?
We can only apply 1 year at a time. So we've already applied for this year in case, so that we knew that it could actually be utilized, because we didn't want to plan on that.
ESSER funds down the line, it goes till 2020
After that, we would use PEPAL funds.
funds. Thank you.
Okay. And the annual cost then after this first cost would be,
I need to go back to this.
Roughly $30,000.
okay,
No,
Annual reoccurring fees, $29,495.
yeah, I'm just saying,
So
to do this now, it's like $71,000 is my math, but I could be way off.
Well, I think that
Today's, our check that we have to cut, I think is 49. I mean, with the implementation.
Yeah.
Initial term prorated fees, I think that takes the
That threw me too.
annual reoccurring fees for our first time, I'm guessing.
Okay,
Yeah, because we're going to start mid-year.
so you're not adding to.
20,500, 26,343, so 46, 944.
Yeah, those first two.
Yeah, those, the first and the third one.
So the implementation of
Okay,
pro year. Two numbers. Those top two numbers,
these two.
right?
Other questions from any other board members?
It just off the top, it looks like a lot of money. I mean, you're $30,000 a year, you see the value in it to try it.
I do, because the other districts that have been utilizing it have seen that value. Nevada and Norwalk and some of the schools that are closer in our size, like Des Moines, I don't feel like that's a fair comparison. But that's why we had actually talked to Ann about that prior to, like, who in our conference, our size districts are utilizing this. We
Okay,
do
then
see
Gilbert.
it- We do see it as something that we need, actually. I mean, you're welcome. Yeah.
Any other questions?
But if we're gonna try it, now's the time to try it. But that's what fun, right?
We have ESSER funds.
say if we change our minds in the future,
Right.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to accept the contract for Frontline.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Stevens, seconded by Mr. Pritchard to accept the contract for Frontline as proposed. Is there any further discussion on this topic? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson, and Mr. Welch.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Next on the agenda is the pre-grading for the elementary center. DLR, folks, we got 4 chairs over here for you. One might be wired.
How are you?
Okay. Okay, what's up? What are we talking about here?
So as we've talked about during the project schedule, the whole process, we were looking to get started with some construction, actually moving some dirt here this fall in order to keep the schedule to open up the elementary school in 2023. So what you have tonight are two procedural items. We are adhering to the schedule that we had to conduct a pre-grading package. And what that will do is move the soil on the site to basically establish the building pad elevation for the new early childhood center and take care of some of that work that would otherwise be done, next spring. So tonight, our procedural item is to establish the bid date. So that's what you're seeing here is a notice to bidders. The bid date would be September 9th, so Thursday in the afternoon. And then following that, you would have a public hearing and an award at your next board meeting, which will be September 13th. So this first document here is just a notice that would get published in the paper. What you can see here is all these plan rooms. Your plans will go out throughout the Midwest and the country. You can see from Missouri, Minnesota to Texas, and all across the Midwest, and be advertised appropriately. And then receive bids on that September 9th date. So that's the first document that you have here. The second, you want to talk about the second one, or?
You want to act on this one?
Let's talk about the three of them, then we'll decide, then we'll act on it. Because I think all three are,
Just two for
There's
DLR.
two for DLR.
okay, DLR, two of them, yes. Let's talk about 2 and 3, and then we'll ask any questions, then we can move back and vote on them.
Okay.
So then on the second item here, again, with the public bidding laws of Iowa, anytime you have a contract that's over a certain threshold amount, you're required to have a public hearing to address any comments from the community. So that's what you're doing here. This is a notice of public hearing. You would establish this as September 13th. This is the first thing that would happen before you would consider any award bids from that bid opening. And again, this is just a notice that would get published and provided, Mitch with the directions on how to do that and things. So that would get published out in the paper, as well as in Master Builders of Iowa. So.
Okay, questions for Eric?
Are the bid documents ready?
No, they will actually be issued on August 17th. So because you only have one board meeting for this month, this is a procedural item. We're still working on those and review those with you prior to.
Will you email me a set when they're ready? Last question, are you excited? I'm gonna stop asking you if we're gonna move dirt now.
I'm
Asking you for 6 months, haven't I?
as excited as you are, so.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, any other questions?
Forward.
Okay, let's move back. Rich, can you put front, yep, you got item number 2 first. Let's go ahead and I'll entertain a motion for the notice to bidders.
I move to approve establishing the bid date of September 9th as laid out in the notice to bidders as presented.
Is there, okay. It has been moved by Mr. Pritchard, seconded by Mrs. Teben to establish the bid deadline of September 9th as laid out in the presentation. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next, Mitch, if you could put up dot 3, the notice of public hearing.
Move to approve the public hearing on September 13th to award the pre-grading construction contract.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve the public hearing on Monday, September 13th at 6:30 PM here in this room. Is there any questions, concerns? Otherwise, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, both resolutions pass unanimously. Thank you very much. And next is more with payment.
It's this one's a resolution appointing UMB Bank of West Des Moines to serve as the paying agent, bond registrar, transfer agent, and improving the paying agent and the registrar and the agent agreement. So this is regarding the sale of our bonds.
These are the bonds for the
Elementary building.
elementary.
Elementary,
Just wanted to clarify that.
for the elementary.
Okay, is there any questions? Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to approve the UMB Bank as the paying agent.
I move to approve UMB Bank as resolution or appointing paying agent, bond registrar, and transfer agent, approving the paying agent and transferring agent agreement, and authorizing the execution of same.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Ms. Stevens, seconded by Dr. Nystrom to approve the resolution appointing UMB Bank, NA of West Des Moines to serve as paying agent, et cetera. That's print. This will need to be a roll call vote if there is no further discussion.
Alphon,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Nystrom,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Melhouse.
Yes. Okay, the motion passes unanimously by roll call vote. Next is move for tax exempt certification to be placed on file.
And it is exactly that, just to make sure that the tax exemption certificate gets placed on file and approved. So we just need a motion to that effect.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Okay, it is now moved by Ms. Stevens, seconded by Mr. Alphen to approve the form of tax exemption certificate to be placed on file and approved. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I believe this is another roll call vote.
Alphon,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Nystrom, Stephen,
Yes.
Melhouse.
Yes. This motion too passes unanimously. Thank you. And now we'll move for the continuing disclosure certificate to be placed on file and approved for the bond series.
We need a similar motion for this one, just simply to state that it will be on file and approved, the continuing disclosure certificate.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, this, Dr. Nystrom's moved and Mr. Pritchard is seconded. The form continuing disclosure certificate to be placed on file and approved. Any further discussion on this? Hearing no further discussion, we'll have one more roll call vote.
Alphon,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Nystrom,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Melhouse.
Yes. Motion passed unanimously. Next, we have a resolution amending the resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation school bonds series 2021 of the Boone Community School District in the amount of $23 million and levying a tax for the payment thereof adopted 9/12/21. Julie, Ms. Trupa?
Well, 2021.
So this year, when we set our property tax, we already prepaid a certain amount to pay off of it. So this just fixing that amount that we are levying this year for that payment. So
It is not causing a raise in taxes.
no,
Okay, I
it's
was gonna
It
say,
what we
is
already approved.
Maintaining our tax rate.
yeah.
Okay.
Not increase
Yeah.
taxes.
So does this decrease our bond any or was Mitch?
It just, we started paying on the bond before we
Right.
built it. So it's just our first payment starts this year.
That's
So
Okay.
essentially what it is.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, is there a motion to approve? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Mr. Pritchard and seconded by Mr. Teben for amending the resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation school bond series 2021. Any further questions? Roll call vote, please.
Alphon,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Nystrom,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Melhouse.
Yes. That motion also passes unanimously. Next, resolution establishing the Boone Community School District depositories. This is a yearly move that we're required to make with the aforementioned Vision Bank 15 million, Bankers Trust 6 million, and ISJIT $46 million. Comments, concerns from Ms. Trupa or Mr. Lewis?
We simply recommend that we approve those depositories. We'd like those to remain the same.
We're increasing ISJIT to handle the bond
Right.
sale, so.
Mhm.
Thank you, guys.
Move to approve the resolution establishing Boone Community School District depositories.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Stevens, seconded by Dr. Nystrom to establish the Boone Community School District depositories for 2021, 2022 school year as printed. Any further discussion? I believe this is just a routine voice vote.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Next up, Ms. Tripa, this is the appointment of the board secretary treasurer.
Right, so every year we have this appointment. It's a one-year term for the board secretary treasurer. I would recommend the appointment of our business manager, Mitch Lewis, as the board secretary treasurer for the 2021, 2022 school year.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
The move by Dr. Nystrom, seconded by Mr. Alphen to appoint Mitch Lewis as the board secretary treasurer for the 2021, 2022 school year. Don't hear any further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, Mr. Lewis, can you stand here? We have to swear you in apparently. Okay. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, that you will faithfully and impartially do the best of your ability to discharge the duties of the office of Board Secretary in the Boone Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
I do.
Welcome back.
Speech.
Thank you.
Okay. Tenfold project update.
So this is, we're asking for the schematic design concepts and cost opinions for the high school gym upgrades, high school HVAC upgrades, and futures high school and homeschool assistance facility projects as presented on August 2nd, 2021, and authorized tenfold architecture to proceed with the development of the design and bidding documents for all three of the projects.
Okay, questions, discussions? I don't see anyone here from Tenfold. I did bring my copy of the design work. In case anyone wants to look at it, have any questions, concerns?
This is just to continue moving forward with these three projects and kind of get some.
We have not had any official board action up to this point, so that's what we're asking for is official board action to continue, given the information that was provided on the second.
And noticing that these are not finalized yet.
Right, this
Changes.
is all pre-designed.
Redesign, they'll be coming back in the next month or so, next month to
Yes.
more finalized versions and having further discussions and informational sessions for community members.
Yes, I move to continue the project with Tenfold.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to continue to move forward with the Tenfold projects, the high school gymnasium upgrades, the high school HVAC upgrades, and the Futures High School and Homeschool Association facilities projects. Any further discussions? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. These are presented in public. If anyone wants to look at them, they're free to look at them. I'm sitting back here. Okay. Next is a board resolution transfer funds from the general fund to the student activity fund. Ms. Trooper,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis, can you explain this, please?
This is actually a transfer that is unique to COVID-19 times in that we are allowed by law to transfer to the activity fund costs that, to cover costs that were due to the COVID-19 restrictions during last year, essentially. So this is just a resolution to be able to transfer funds from the general fund to the student activity fund to recover those costs.
And our general fund has the excess money. This is not going to cause the same finance burden on the general fund.
Correct.
And we'll report on that next month.
You did send us a breakdown, didn't you? Or-
Yep, it's
Yeah.
right here. So it kind of ties in the next agenda item. Next agenda item is when we, the board makes motion to clean up the negative accounts every year. We took all the negative accounts from our athletic chunk, and then we came up that with our total to help those cover those costs that we lost because of gate tickets. So any negative in here, the adjustment is less the ticket sales, and that's what we're requesting to transfer over.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the activities fund resolution for transfer to the activity fund from the general fund?
I move to approve the activity fund resolution.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved by Mr. Pritchard, secondary by Mr. Alphen, to approve the transfer from general fund to activity fund to help cover COVID-19 restrictions. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Next, the interactivity interfund transfers. Mr. Lewis, you want to explain that? I think you already did.
Yep, so that's just all these transfers in this column that says AJE, adjusting entry. That's just the negative accounts were taken out and then we're taking from another account to balance it out. That does include the 33,000 that you all just approved to transfer into the account. So
I move to accept the activity interfund transfers.
For a second.
Second.
And this is something that we've been doing for several years. Those of you listening are wondering, this is a standard accounting record. Okay, any further questions? Otherwise, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Next is the COVID update. Let's start out, Mr. Trimble.
Sure. So this is a different year. COVID's not gone, but it's a different year for us. So some things that are different this year compared to last year is that there is now a state law that states that masks must be optional. So that is not a decision that we have an opportunity to make. We can still highly recommend mask wearing, but it's mandated by state law that it be optional. Other things that are no longer in effect are anything that was with regard to our emergency proclamation. So in the past year, when we had hybrid or virtual learning, we were allowed to use those days as days of school. That is no longer the case. If we were to say to our community that we were going to have hybrid learning, then we would have to make every day that students were not on site in session. Same thing would be true with virtual learning. We would have to make all of those days up. Some recommendations that have come from the Iowa Department of Public Health recently is them alerting us to the fact that they are not contact tracing like we were before. So last year we had kind of a COVID-19 tracker, so to speak, where we were able to keep track of daily incidences and update our community. That's not something that we'll have that information to anymore. So that is not something we'll be able to provide because we won't necessarily have that information. We were alerted last spring, when the law went into effect with masks being optional, that we were to treat COVID-19 as any other illness. So it still remains that we need to have students that do not feel well not come to school. That's not changed. We want them to stay home if they don't feel well. But we would follow a similar process as we do with other illnesses such as whooping cough. If we had more than 10% of our population that had similar symptoms for whooping cough, that gets reported to the Department of Public Health, and then Public Health helps determine what we do as a result of that. So that would be the case with COVID-19 at this point, from our understanding on the guidance that has been given to schools at this point. So I just think it's important that people understand that while COVID hasn't gone away, some of the operational principles that we operated under have gone away. So it does change some of the things that we're going to be able to do. However, we still have our air purifiers in every one of our classrooms and areas. We have larger ones in the areas where we have larger areas like our lunchroom and gymnasium. So those are still here. We have them all changed out with our filters. We will continue to do that. We're still going to do what we can to make school safe for students, but I just need, I think our listeners and our community to understand the changes that have occurred for us this year compared to last year.
My question, Julie, would it be something we could just post the link to the cdc.org site that updates the current county information every few days? I mean,
Yeah,
that seems to be accurate.
it's borderline accurate because it's not being updated every day. It's being updated about every 2 to 4 days
Yeah.
time. You'll go 0, 0, 0, and you think, hey, we haven't had any more cases. And all of a sudden you see 25 on day 3 or day 4.
Yeah, but it is information.
It is information.
Yeah.
There's a couple other things here.
We will also be putting a new return to learn plan on our website based on our conversation tonight so that people understand everything that we're talking about tonight. And we'll do that every 6 months. That's one of the new requirements as well. So that needs to be updated by August 20th, and it will be, so that people can understand what will be in place this year and what won't be. We are not offering an online option in our district either. So that's something else that people need to be aware of and understand as well.
Now, a couple things that have, come to maybe other board members' attention or questions that people have asked. One of them is kind of related to that last Q&A. How long should COVID-19 positive students, teachers, staff members stay home? Some people are under the impression that you can come to school sick and not have to stay home.
If you're sick, we don't want you in school.
And my response is basically you would follow the procedures that we have in place.
The rules have not changed as far as that goes. They
Okay.
still need to stay home for 10 days from the onset of illness, the time of diagnosis, and they have to begin feeling better each of those last 2 to 3 days. Those rules have not changed. They're now strong in word recommendations, but what we're telling patients is they must maintain isolation at home for 10 days. That's any age group. That has not changed.
And that was just a question someone asked
Good question.
in relation to that item. And, I thought we've got procedures for anybody that goes home sick with.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the other question was, we had a pretty positive school environment where we really, if this mask thing is going to be optional, we're not going to change the format for no bullying, no teasing, no, people.
That's even more crucial,
Yeah.
that we respect one another's decisions regardless of what they are. So I think that's something all of our administrative team and staff are prepared for. to uphold the fact that we need to be respectful of one another regardless.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And those were a couple of things
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
were brought to my attention to ask about. Yeah.
Other questions?
I have I guess a comment or question as far as like, we did the cohorts, and I know this has probably been discussed, the cohorts and public spaces and dividers. I know we're kind of starting that process. Does that look similar this school year as it was last year? Or
So-
do we,
So
I guess
what I
where are we
would-
at with that?
So what I would tell you is we're trying to maximize our learning because with the end of the emergency proclamation, now comes recovery services and our requirement to meet closing the gaps. And I know that being able to attend to the learning needs of our students is going to be a priority. So where we can, we will do that, but it would be misleading to say that we aren't going to make sure that we can have students be with staff that need to teach them what it is that they might be struggling with. And that does mean sometimes we'll have some students mixing with students they may not typically mix with, but we also are under the obligation of maximizing our learning and making sure that we're making up for the lost learning that may have occurred when we were not in session for a whole spring. We made some great growth last year, but not as much as if we could have implemented some of the intervention strategies we were able to otherwise. So our plan right now is to move forward with those intervention strategies and maximize the learning.
So when time and when groups?
When time would be back. That is our plan right now.
Do we have any idea how vaccinations are going for kids 12 and up?
Yeah, I'll bring that up in a little bit.
Okay.
I have a little talk to give. I'm waiting for everyone else to. Any other questions, concerns? Okay. With that, I'm going to turn the gavel over to the vice president for a minute. And I want everyone to know, I'm not saying this is board president. I'm also chairman of the Board of Health for Boone County Board of Health. I'm also chairman or director of the Boone County Public Health Nursing. I've been involved from the start. So I would just say this. Right now, we are kind of in a crisis. Jeremy, your numbers, the good news is that the greater than 12 years of age, we're actually doing pretty darn good. Take all the people in Boone County who have over age 12 who have been fully vaccinated. That's 61% of those over age 12 have been fully vaccinated. And 65% have had at least one vaccine. So our junior high and high school, a lot of the parents are doing their job and they're getting those vaccines in those kids, which is great. Still, wouldn't be a bad idea with this Delta virus out to be wearing a mask as much as possible. Delta virus is a different beast. Delta virus is in your breath. If you have Delta virus, each time you breathe out, you're passing on 1,000 times as much viral load particles in your breath to expose someone else. That's why we're still recommending the masking for people who've had their COVID vaccine, because the original COVID virus, even if you got COVID after you had the vaccine, it wasn't in your system strong enough for you to be able to pass it on to someone else. Delta, different ballpark. It's in people's breath enough, even though they may be asymptomatic, may very well be asymptomatic. So that's why Delta is a different beast, and you're seeing us going back to masking. If you look at populations over age 18 here in the county, we're 67% with one vaccine and 63.5% with fully vaccinated. So those are both higher than the state averages, which is very good. Our greater than 65 population, we're 91% totally vaccinated. So our grandparents, they're doing a great job. So that being said, now it leads us to the tough part. And that is the kids who are in our preschool through 6th grade, they're 3 and 4 year olds through 12-year-olds who are not eligible for vaccine. The American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Academy of Family Physicians have come out with a strongly worded statement on this. they are recommending that all parents strongly encourage your kids to wear their masks at school and wear them at all times. This is coming from American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy of Family Practice. It has also come from the CDC, but those other two former organizations are made up of all physicians. The physicians have researched this, looked at all the data, relied on their experts in infectious disease to come out with that statement. So my personal recommendation, if I had a kid in school right now, they'd be having their mask on at all times through sixth grade, before they had their vaccines. Older ones now for a month or two, until we get the Delta strain through here, which looks like the Delta strain should get through here by the end of September. It won't be a bad idea to have the mask on, and teachers too. I will say our teachers in this county did a yeoman's effort. I believe we're well over 85% for the teachers in our district being vaccinated, which is great. That shows our teachers really care about our students and protecting our students' safety and their own safety. Probably from a public health standpoint, in the elementary schools, recommendation would be wear them all the time. And at the high school level, junior high level, at least for a month or two until Delta gets out of our system, which, as I said, should peak and go down hopefully by October 1st. And I'm saying all this again as chairman of the Board of Health, not my chair over there. Any questions?
I turn this gavel back to you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions, concerns about COVID?
Well, Brian, I just wondered, when you hear stuff on the news, in Iowa, how are the kids doing? Are there a lot more kiddos getting ill?
From what I've been told, is Blank has several cases in their ICU of COVID related.
Oh,
In Iowa City, I just talked to someone who works there. They said their ICU is full. Their highest level ICU is full of 30-year-old and 40-year-olds, non-vaccinated with Delta virus. The vaccinated ones are not making it to the ICU because they're getting better before that level. They're needing some support in the hospital, but they're going home. The unvaccinated ones are ending up on ventilators, etc. That's Iowa City, and they're getting a lot of business from northern Missouri. And I just heard today, I tell them the hospitals in Des Moines are starting to see some of that northern Missouri business too. Any other questions? Hearing none, superintendent's report.
Okay, well, I'm going to move to registration. We have, as of today, 67.4% of our families registered, with 3.6% of them starting the process, not yet submitted, and 29% yet remaining. So if anyone's listening and you have not registered your students for this year, for the school year, please do so. That is how we're getting our bus lists. People that need to be on buses, that's how we're attaining those names and student names. So please make sure that you go on and register. It does not take long. I've been told by those that have children that it's about 5 minutes per child. I'm hoping that's accurate. That's what I was told. Maybe those of you that have children can tell you. Pretty fast. Okay. And then we did, as an administrative team, attend School Administrators of Iowa Conference. Believe strongly that when we go to a conference, we need to make sure that we're applying what we learn. And so I briefly asked permission for a few of our admin team if they'd be willing to share some of their takeaways from the conference to share with all of you. Because I think that it's good for you to know and for our public to know that when we go to those conferences, that we do get something from those that will help our students ultimately. So do I have a volunteer first? Anyone that?
I'll go first since they're accusing me of trying to steal their ideas earlier. So
There you go.
So being a new principal, I went to more topics that had like a holistic approach, not anything specific. So I'm not I don't know all the systems of Boone yet, so I didn't want to waste my time. So I went to some things about using staff meetings and being more intentional with professional development, which I got a lot of quick ideas, making meetings more meaningful, ideas like that. There was a human connections and positive relationship speaker that was really good. They should have put him in a bigger room because all of his sessions were overflowing out the door, which shows you the importance of human connections and administration. And the last one that I wanted to touch on today was I went in to learn more about the leadership standards. They reorganized them and restructured them in the state, and some unpacking and connecting to those new standards.
Thank you.
Went to all the sessions I attended were really good. A couple that stood out to me. I went to one about collective efficacy and the power. Autumn that helped into that one about the power of building collective efficacy among your staff and
the impact of that.
impact. How do you about that?
And it's one of the biggest impacts that we can have on students. We talked a lot about the opportunity gap versus the achievement gap and how we really how children, how much that teacher efficacy plays a huge role in that. And there was like tons of awesome research, but basically it's enough for achievement first.
Yeah, and then I went to another one that focused on incorporating the universal constructs into instruction, which is something that we talked a lot about as we began to work on high reliability schools and horizontal instructional framework. So that was really good to see some of the things that another district was doing to incorporate that. Some pretty neat projects that their students have done and connecting those to real world experiences and people in the field of the projects that they were doing.
On social emotional learning that another district had shared and how they've really taken 5 years to reach Little Pumpkins all the way up till they're outside of high school. So it was awesome to hear their journey and remember it's not a quick change, it's slow change, but it's worth it in that. So that was really good.
I also went to most of those sessions, so I will repeat, but I think, I think seems common sense that building relationships with kids always been the most important thing connected to that. And I think when we look at how they haven't really added to the teaching standards, they've expanded them to the things that we already do. So being evaluated as statewide leaders for those types of things like building relationships and meeting the needs of those unique kids. And I think just continuing to push the message for staff that 50% of our students, and probably less than that, can play the game of school. No matter what we do, they're going to come to school, they're going to jump through the hoops, they're going to take the right classes, they're going to be respectful, they're going to walk in line when they're supposed to, go to the bathroom when they're supposed to. And our challenge is that other 50, 60% of the students. And so when we look at any improvement, if we look at what we're going to do, our improvement lies in those 50% of students. We need to figure out how to challenge that other group and push them to get the most out of what they need. But anything that we're being challenged to do, whether it's with ESSA, recovery services, really starts with that focus on relationship. They just keep stressing the things that kids take away from school and list your top 10 moments of school. Nobody lists out, well, I really like the essential standards in my science classes. And, that's not where students go. They list that you cared about them, that when you were struggling, they pulled you in and helped get through things when things were tough. So I think all those things just reiterate to staff and kind of rejuvenate that. The most important part of making those games and meeting those students is finding a place to meet those students. Parents that really need that support. Excited to continue to push that message.
Well, if you've ever been to SAI, they don't have a lot of sessions. It's like very pointed keynote speakers and thought leaders. So ditto what most of them said, because I'm last. But Drake Bailey and I also attended a session on grading practices and grading for equity. And it just really helped, I think, to solidify that the SRG is definitely a journey, but it's the right journey to be on for equitable practices for kids. And a lot of the it almost felt like SRG 101, and we felt like we had these conversations. We're feeling kind of good and renewed in the things that they were sharing as far as the why and why we're doing the really hard work that it takes to have more equitable grading practices. But I think that's helpful for us to just take some nuggets that can reinforce the work that we're doing.
Sounds good.
And I would say from my perspective, the collective efficacy and the equity pieces, there was a keynote speaker that talked about equity and it's more than just the data. It's really digging down beyond that. And our leadership standards now divide out the equity side of our leadership. So I thought that was also especially good. So I just want to reiterate our appreciation for allowing us to attend this conference. This is something that oftentimes leaders don't have a lot of conferences that are available to them. So being able to go to this as a team also was very nice so that we could collaborate about what we took away, because while some of us were in some of the same sessions, we took away different things and we can learn from that. So it's exciting to be able to apply some of those things. So just wanted to make sure that you knew, what we took away from that experience, and that we look forward to next year already, because it's an exciting time to also network with other school communities with the same challenges that we have. So, and that's it.
Okay.
My superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions, concerns from the board? Otherwise, we'll reconvene here in 4 weeks.
Move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
The moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.